Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes of what's been happening throughout the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, the old history dude. Are things happening fast and furiously in your life? Well, if so, then join me for this look at Lickety Split. One of the greatest moments in sports history. Different folks offer different answers. Some would definitely say that it was the miracle on ice when the underdog U.S. hockey team beat the Soviets in the 1980 Olympics. Oh no, would say an old-timer, it was when Jackie Robinson first walked onto the field of the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15, 1947, becoming the first African-American to play Major League Baseball. Fans of boxing history would strongly disagree, remembering with awe the October 30th, 1974 Rumble in the Jungle match in which Muhammad Ali knocked out world champion Floyd Kramer in Kinshasa, Zaire. But how could the gymnastics world ever forget when petite Mary Lou Retton pulled down two perfect tens on the floor exercises and then the vault in the 1984 Olympics? Or when the Boston Red Sox finally won the World Series in 2004 after an 86-year curse of the Bambino dry spell following the trading of Babe Ruth to the Yankees in 1919. But the all-time greatest sports moment? Jesse Owens broke 3 world records and tied a 4th in less than 45 minutes at the Big Ten track meet in Ann Arbor, Michigan on May 25, 1935. Never happened before, never happened since. Sometimes fast is done from even behind a desk. Iowan Harry Hopkins was a social worker, administrator, statesman, and advisor to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. In March of 1933, FDR summoned him to D.C. for the immense job of being the Federal Aid Administrator. He would oversee the Federal Emergency Relief Organization, FERA, the Civil Works Administration, CWA, and the Works Progress Administration, WPA. He arguably did more in his first day of work than any man in the history of America. Hopkins hit the floor running when he started work on Monday, May 22, 1933. Not yet having an office didn't faze him in the least. He dragged a desk out in the hallway, sat down in the hustle and bustle of passing politicians and diplomats, and started to write checks. Within 2 hours, he'd spent $5 million. That's some $70 million in today's dollars. Over 90% of those employed by Hopkins were on relief or else unemployed. By 1938, Harry Hopkins had spent some $8.5 billion assisting some 15 million needy people in the process. Critics roared in angry disapproval, thundering that helping needy people needed serious consideration and long-term planning. Hopkins' response was short and to the point. People don't eat in the long run. They eat every day. There's fast, and then there's NASCAR fast. Weddings can be mighty complicated, what with the bridal attendants, the dresses, the flowers, the music, securing the venue, securing the officiant, well, the list seems to go on and on. But not if you're a NASCAR enthusiast. Then the whole ceremony is over in 10 seconds flat. On August the 8th, 2023, Anheuser-Busch unveiled plans to stage a wedding for one lucky couple, aged 21 or older at NASCAR Speed, during the final race of 2014 Cup champion Kevin Harvick at the Las Vegas Speedway. The 2 lucky winners were Tori Lindsay and Nick Brendel from St. Louis, 2 motorsports lovebirds who had gotten engaged at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. On Sunday, October the 15th, 2023, Lindsay wore a lovely white NASCAR race suit, her bridal veil fetchingly tied around her waist, and she carried a bouquet of white roses festooned with bush cans. Nick was traditionally attired in a white shirt, tie, boutonniere under his matching NASCAR jacket and pants. Actor Gary Downey, featured in several commercials as the Bush Guy, officiated, screaming out the vows over roaring engines at the number 4 car's pit box. It is unknown if all 80,000 screaming spectators were invited to the reception or not. Occasionally things can be set aright with a speedy flick of a bic. Anyone who lived through the terrible days following President Kennedy's assassination in 1963 remembers the solemn lighting of the eternal torch at his graveside in Arlington Cemetery. Jackie had been very specific as to the design of the gravesite after seeing the eternal flame burning at the tomb of the French unknown soldier in Paris. Now America would have its own eternal flame. Well, the almost eternal flame. The fire actually went out just a few weeks after the interment. A group of Catholic schoolchildren were visiting the still temporary site on December 10, 1963. One deeply reverent child had a great idea. She brought a bottle of holy water to sprinkle on Kennedy's resting place. Sadly, holy water and flames do not mix, and the flame flickered and winked out. Thankfully, the flame was updated when Kennedy was moved to his permanent resting place on March 14, 1967, and then again in 2013. A constantly flashing electric spark near the tip of the nozzle ensures that no more accidental extinguishments take place. The flame was transferred to a temporary burner while renovations were made. Oh, and the holy water incident? A groundskeeper who smoked rushed to the rescue, cigarette lighter in hand. No harm was done. And that's about all the time we have for this episode of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes of what's been happening throughout the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, author, historian, and speaker, wishing that all of your history may be just a bit weird.